which of course they might. And I think this bill is very sensible. Sensible is very high praise in my lexicon. It has a sense of family at its heart, and of course Greens would automatically support this. Anyone with empathy and humanity is going to have sympathy with its aims. And this bill is actually consistent with the government's stated intention of strengthening safe routes for those seeking protection in the UK. It's a shame that little else the government does is consistent with the aim of reducing dangerous, irregular journeys. This government has grovelled before the worst elements of the British psyche, the racists, the bigots, the haters, and it really does the rest of us no credit. It brings shame on those of us who want to be decent human beings. And so, really, I think this government has behaved appallingly badly over the past 11 years, really, but particularly on the issue of refugees. And our government's hostile environment can take most of the blame for the fact that we have left people behind in Afghanistan. I don't understand why we have an asylum regime that deliberately erects barriers and unnecessary bureaucracy every step of the way. Even before the fall of Kabul, the number of refugees who've been waiting more than a year had grown to more than 50,000 people. And of course, the number of people, 3,200, who are, what will now happen to them? As has been said, we cannot possibly send them back. And plus, of course, we have a lot of brave women protesting in Afghanistan, campaigning for their human rights very bravely. And they deserve every drop of respect and solidarity and support we can muster. And if they have to flee Afghanistan, our doors really should be open, because we helped create a set of circumstances where women could express themselves and could find more freedom, and now they will suffer for it. I don't understand why we haven't had the time and resources to answer the multiple cries for help from people stranded behind the Taliban roadblocks, and I think it's because we put up our own roadblocks behind the desks in Whitehall. It seems to me that civil servants pick through details and create blocks that are not what the majority of British people would want. When asked about supporting this bill to reunite families, the Prime Minister replied that they would be bringing forward legislation to separate the legal from the illegal asylum seekers. No human is illegal. Seeking asylum is a human right. And do we really have criteria that excludes an interpreter or a cook who's worked for the British Embassy for a decade, for example, merely because they were employed by a contractor rather than directly? Are they seen as some of the so-called illegals that our Prime Minister is talking about? Now, this government is a disgrace, and its threats to break international law, whether it's maritime law or human rights legislation, it's a disgrace to us all. I don't understand how they can do it without being utterly shamefaced. And I'm an atheist, but there is a phrase that I think applies to this, and it is, "There but for the grace of God go I."
My Lords, I hesitate in a sense to spoil the